If I'm RC or Andy Petrie, I can stand up in these meetings and be like, listen, guys, we're in the playoffs. Give us a shot. But I personally would be shocked to see Tyler Reddick drive 36 races in 2023 in the 8 car.
Hey race fans, welcome to another episode of Backseat Drivers. Here with the NBC Sports family, I have Steve Letarte and Kyle Petty joining me here on the backseat table. And I didn't know that lobster was best served spicy because we saw the tensions heat up at New Hampshire. Christopher Bell is our 14th. How many, Steve?
14. That's still too short.
Too short.
Yes. Okay. So we're getting closer.
No.
Getting closer. Yeah. We're all getting closer to retirement. We're getting closer to 16 winners too.
I'm not. Okay, 14 winners. Christopher Bell is the latest in the NASCAR Cup Series. Make sure and text these two if you agree, disagree. We still have the number here in the backseat. 31032. You can text Steve or Kyle. You're also setting yourself up to win some prizes like VIP races. You can go wave at Kyle Petty on pit road. Whatever you want to do. You know.
Am I eligible to win?
No.
No.
Okay.
Yes, we are. I know.
I want to be VIP races.
It's always
good.
I know. Okay, first up, let's get into this Brad Keselowski and Austin Dillon because we're here, 12, 14, 17 hours later, and we still don't really know what happened on the racetrack. So before we dive into it and see what we think about the disagreement, the entanglement, whatever we're calling it these days, let's hear what Austin Dillon and Brad Keselowski had to say following the race at New Hampshire.
You guys saw it, right? I mean, it's just hard racing, I guess. We've gone at it a couple times last 2 years. One time I hit really hard, so just don't like the way certain people are racing me, and probably not the right way to do it under a caution.
Does this warrant a conversation with Brad?
No, I don't talk to him.
Hot in the cars, and probably all let our tempers get the best of us. But proud of our team for the effort today. Certainly an up and down day, and good to finish on a up mark.
Austin told me he does not like the way that you race him. Is the feeling mutual?
Yeah, I'll talk to him privately. I don't need to be a jerk over the media.
All right, so whether it's a hot race car or just not liking the way that you're raced on the track, which this is not the first time we've heard Austin Dillon say that this season. But Steve, you were up in the booth. What was going on with the 6 and the 3?
Normally, we can find what led to the hockey fight a couple quarters earlier.
Yeah.
We have no idea what happened with Austin Dillon and Brad Keselowski. And then, Austin after the race references years worth of incidents. So I'll be honest. I don't think this is anything special between these two. I think really, KP, what it shows is how fragile the whole field is halfway through the season, right? Tempers are flaring front to back. Because two things. Yeah. Why did Austin take a swipe at Brad? I don't know.
Yeah.
But then Brad, the counterpunch wasn't like a little nudge. I mean, he took a left and destroyed his own race car.
The counterpunch. I expected to see the left front of Brad's car driven up on top of the manifold. I mean, that's how hard he hit him. All I can figure is that Austin had talked to Brad earlier in the week and asked him to be on Life in the Fast Lane with Austin, and that Brad said no. That's all I can figure is. That's all I can because there was nothing. There was nothing you guys showed. There was nothing in either one of the. That was a waste of breath to interview both of them because they didn't say anything. They just alluded to things that have happened in the past, and I remember my first grade teacher did something to me, so I'm going to go back and run into her car. I mean, it's one of those deals. I mean, how do you figure this out? And I don't know what it is. Obviously, they have a history, and for some reason, Austin come unhinged under caution, and Brad came more unhinged, and they tore up 2 race cars for no apparent reason.
But then owner Brad got the mic after because he did a nice job of no comment. I'll talk to him after. We talk a lot about what happens between drivers. You can tell Brad has been through this a lot with a bunch of different drivers, and I thought that was a really great non-answer. I'll just handle it this week. Yeah.
I can tell you, though, I'm not a driver, but I do know one way to get in the playoffs is not to ruin your car over being hot in the car. So that's my 2 cents on that. All right, 3 drivers that right now have 0 wins in that win column in the NASCAR Cup Series for the 2022 season, and I am really surprised, honestly, by all 3 of them. But we have Ryan Blaney, who at one point looked like he may have been the regular season championship favorite. Kevin Harvick, who didn't get a win last year, still doesn't have a win this year. And then Martin Truex Jr., obviously, who had the car to beat, at least for stage 1 and stage 2 at New Hampshire, and then couldn't close out the deal. But out of those 3 drivers, KP, we'll start with you on this one. Who makes the playoffs? All of them? None of them?
No, Blaney. I say Blaney has the best shot,
Okay.
and this is I'm going straight off one stat. He has had more looks at wins
True.
than the other two. I think Kevin and Martin both had a look at a win, and that's why yesterday was so frustrating to both of them, because they both had an opportunity. But if we've run, how many races have we run so far? 20 races, 21 races,
Yeah,
whatever
20
we've run this season. I look at Blaney and I say, he's probably had a shot at a top 2 or 3 finish in 8 or 10 of them. Maybe a few less, maybe a few more. Truex didn't show up until New Hampshire this year. I've not seen Truex. And Kevin is the same way. He's been a good top 10 car, but you're not going to, even if you make the playoffs, and we talk about this all the time, yay, I made the playoffs. I'm out in the first round.
Yeah.
That's the kind of year these guys are having. I want to talk about guys who have shots at winning the championship a lot of times at this point in the season, not who's going to make the playoffs, but we always revert back to the lowest common denominator, the 15th and 16th. We spend all of our time talking about that. But I think Blaney's about the only one I see that's got a shot.
Okay.
You want me to be an optimist or a pessimist?
I want you to be Letarte.
All right, well, here you go. Ryan Blaney has been the most consistent. So if it's on points, I think he has a chance. Not sure he can win. Kevin
straight off
Harvick
that.
is on a 63-race winless streak, second longest of his career. So, is that going to flip and change overnight? I don't know how. He is running better. He ran fifth, and he went from 20 points below the cut line to almost 70. That's not the move you want. And Truex, when you look at Truex, he is winless this year. He ran well at New Hampshire, but I would look at the rest of the regular season. There's 2 road courses where Toyota can't even run in the single digits.
Yeah.
And there's a speedway, and he's never won at a speedway at all. So just looking at stats, it's an uphill battle for each of them. I actually have it. This is going to be answered at specific tracks. Like when I look at Truex, Richmond is probably his best. He could probably do it at maybe Michigan, but Richmond's really the one, or even Pocono. He's won at before. Don't see it at the others. So the real question is, how many of these guys miss the playoffs? Because I still think there's cars behind him that can win. Chris Buescher has run on the top 5 of the 2 road courses, last 2 road courses.
Great point.
We're going
Great
to 2
point.
more. So what I do love about this year is, would I love to see Truex in the playoffs, Blaney, Harvick? I agree with Kyle. Those 3 names are huge names in the sports. And even though they may not be championship favorites, I think they add something to the first round. But there's not a lot of participation ribbons being handed out anymore. The seats are being filled. I don't think we're going to have more than 16 winners. But I will say, 15 or 16 is possible. It might take a win to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
If we have 16 winners, you're going to have won a race.
Does Blaney win before the regular season is over?
Okay, so listen, I think Burton interviewed Blaney before the race. I think it was documented during the race 2 or 3 times, conversations with with Truex's crew chief, where Truex said, we're when they got to Martinsville, we're okay, we'll be okay, we'll point our way in. And Wills believed then you had to win a race. Now they all are believers.
Yeah.
You have to win. You have to win. That's the only way in, is to win.
Yeah, as Letarte mentioned, Ryan Blaney and Martin Truex Jr., if the playoffs were to start today, they're in. Kevin Harvick is obviously the first driver out. So there's our answer, everybody. Okay, next up, one driver who hopefully does not have to worry about making the playoffs. He has 1 win, his first ever win in the NASCAR Cup Series, and no news happened with him last week. There was nothing that went on with Tyler Reddick. I don't know what you guys are talking about. Tyler Reddick obviously announced with Denny Hamlin, which was one of the coolest ways to announce. He just slid in a Zoom meeting. It was awesome. He will be going to 2311 for 2024. Next year is 2023. So what happens to Tyler Reddick and the number 8 car next season over there at RCR? I got my mind blown this morning because the politics of racing, I did not realize how much was going to go into play. So KP, from an ownership side of things and from a driver side of things, what comes into play with this 8 car next season?
They may pay this guy just to sit at home. You know what I mean? They may hold him to his contract and not have to do something. Who knows what they'll work out. At the same time, and people look at Tyler and they're like, why did Tyler leave Richard Childress? Why did he do that to Richard Childress? You know what I mean? I think we're seeing a model shift in ownership again. You know what I mean? We saw it when Rick Hendrick came in. We saw it when Joe Gibbs came in. We're seeing another shift. That you've got Pitbull coming in. You've got Justin Marks. You've got Michael Jordan. You've got a driver in Denny Hamlin. So we're seeing, and this is the future. And you've got a young driver with tons of talent, and he sees the future. So I think there are so many options on the table that could happen to that 8 car next year. That whether Tyler runs a few races, whether Tyler runs a lame duck season, no matter what they put him in or how they do it, you've got sponsors who have say so. You've got Childress who's trying to salvage something now, and salvage a season that's out there 5 or 6 races away that he didn't think he was going to, because he got him to sign that option paper and he's like, I'm good for next year. You know what I mean? He didn't think about the year past that. So I think there's so many things. I'm not going to be surprised by anything that happens with Tyler Reddick in the 8 car in 23.
There's no doubt, unless there's something I don't see, that Tyler Reddick is probably the best talent to put behind the wheel of the 8. But is he going to be able to drive with 2 hands and 2 feet, or is he handcuffed because he's not allowed to have certain information, and how much does that mess up the situation? I think currently it's really emotional, so nobody really knows. Nothing's going to change this year, and you already know you're in the playoffs. So if I'm RC or Andy Petrie, I can stand up in these meetings and be like, listen, guys, we're in the playoffs. Give us a shot. I think you can patch it together at the end of the year. But I personally would be shocked to see Tyler Reddick drive 36 races in 2023 in the 8 car.
Really?
I think even if he starts the year, unless he wins really early and makes the playoffs again, I just the business is what we got to remember. I left Hendrick Motorsports to go to television. I knew a year away. I wasn't even going to another team. Yeah. And, the whispers were like, well, how are they going to run? He's leaving and all this stuff. We had a great year. It was fine. But if I was going to another team, how would that have worked? How would Chad like to work with me knowing that, hey, I'm going to go to not just another team, but another brand?
Yeah.
I think that's the next level, right? If Tyler Reddick was going to Trackhouse,
that's right,
or Hendrick Motorsports or JTG or another Chevy team, I think it's a little bit easier. And then it's more like just emotion kind of between 2 owners. But you're going from one brand to the other. That is a major shift in a car that's in its infancy.
Steve had a great point. If we go through 2022, okay, they're going to give him the best stuff they can give him. They're in the playoffs.
So it doesn't start now.
No, listen.
If it does, then that is emotion taking over good business. Because he could be a champion.
Because there have been a million drivers through the years who have announced in June they were leaving the team they were with at the end of the year.
True.
This is a new model to say I'm ending in 18 months. I'm out of here. You know what I mean? This is a new model. We're a little bit in uncharted territory where a guy already announces, yeah, I'm playing for you, but in 2 years I'm going to be playing for that team over there.
The race fan should love the fact that Tyler Reddick made this move. Not because they love RC or love 2311, but the shift that Kyle's talking about. We had a time in this sport where where business put them in cars. They had partners and sponsors and all these different things. And that still exists for some.
Yeah.
But everything I'm hearing and all the whispers I'm hearing is that was a free agent pickup of who they thought was the best driver available.
Yeah.
That is stock car racing at its finest. That should give us the best 36 stock car drivers in the world.
Yeah.
This is NASCAR going up. This is, when you talk about the stock market of NASCAR, new ownership going up, new car going up. Now, a young driver in the sport, RC gave him the chance. Yep. And in years past, you just kind of stayed at that organization because they gave you your chance and you had a business deal. And this is a young driver saying, even though I just won my first race, someone looks at me as the best talent available. And because the rumor I'm hearing is it wasn't just one team courting him. There was many teams courting him, and he chose to go to 2311. That is great for the race fan.
Who needs 2023 silly season when you can have 2024 silly season?
Hey.
We're making moves, chess moves over here. I like it. All right, Backseat Bets presented by BetMGM. Obviously, we were heading to Pocono, the Tricky Triangle, up in the mountains there this weekend. And another opportunity for possibly a first-time winner this season, or, let's just get 15 winners. So I can tell Steve Letarte we're going to have 17 plus. All right, first up, Christopher Bell versus Kevin Harvick. Obviously, momentum right now with the 20 car, but Kevin Harvick had a solid day at New Hampshire, KP.
Okay. I'm good with that.
Which one?
I'm good with momentum.
Okay.
I'm good. Kevin's not had momentum all year. Okay. I mean they really haven't. So and Christopher Bell has arguably been the top 1 or 2 Gibbs cars all year long. They took themselves out of races, making mistakes and stuff with their pit crew and things that happen. So I just think finally the momentum that Christopher Bell had we saw the payoff.
Yeah.
I'm taking Kevin Harvick, and the reason I'm taking Kevin Harvick is because Christopher Bell has now got that win. I think Adam Stevens and Christopher Bell will race for playoff points, try to win first and second stage. That'll hurt them in the strategy game. Kevin Harvick has to win a race, 60 points behind. I'm going with the gambler because I'm a gambler.
That's
I'm
right.
going with
That's a
Rodney
good one.
Childers because I think he has to throw a little more caution to the wind. I think their speed's going to be relatively equal.
Yeah.
I'll go Kevin Harvick. Why not? Every once in a while, let's just put your chips on the roulette table.
Next up, Eric Jones versus Eric Almirola. Hopefully no gearbox issues at Pocono. Steve, start with you on this one.
I'm going Eric Jones. Eric Jones is having a quietly very successful year. Petty GMS is improving. I know there was some news this week about a driver change at the 42, but I don't see that affecting the 43. There's just as much whispers about Eric Almirola. Oh, maybe I'll come back a little bit. Maybe I won't. We don't know. The story seems to kind of be getting a little foggy. For that reason, I'm going Eric Jones. I think he's going to have a good run.
For those of you keeping score at home, I'm going Kevin Harvick just because I want another winner. So. All right, next up on this one.
You know what? I'll go Eric Almirola. And because it's like when he won at New Hampshire last year, it just surprised you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, it's like, where had he been? And all of a sudden he steps up and wins the race. I think he announced his retirement so that he would spend more time with his family. And now it's like, maybe I don't want to spend more time with my family. Maybe I'm coming back. I mean, I don't know what the deal is, but I think that's driven by business too. I think we see sponsors who think, maybe I want to go away, maybe I'll come back, you know?
Yeah.
So that's driving that a little bit. So I think for Eric, we have seen moments in races. We've not seen a whole race by this team all year. But you know, I would take Eric over. With some of the races that we have coming up, I'd take Eric over.
Not just because one's sitting with me at the table, but I'm going Petty Blue. Eric Jones for me. Next up, Brad Keselowski versus Austin Dillon. Water bottles, hot in race cars. I'm sure Pocono will be hot and steamy this weekend, but who are we going with out of these two that are just really upset at the world right now?
The field? I mean, like,
Yeah, that's exactly right with this one.
Brad Keselowski, Austin Dillon. I think Austin was for some reason, the antagonist in this. He made the first move. I think it didn't qualify well. It looked like a bumpy day.
Yeah.
Brad on the other side, I think looks a little bit more like a team owner. And while it hasn't been flashy, they've had a huge penalty. So let's remember when we look at where they're at in the points, that's 100 points off where they should have been. I believe it's going to be Brad Keselowski over Austin Dillon with a good, solid top 16 or 18 run.
I think I'll take Austin. I'll take Austin over Brad for 27th and 28th place.
Well, listen, I'll give BetMGM credit because
That's tough right there.
Well, so sometimes I've gone with like the storylines of, hey,
Yeah.
we're going to pick these guys, but this is a true.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know where you'd set the
It's tough.
odds because
Oh, yeah.
it's truly a coin flip.
Yeah, that's
The
tough.
Eric's or a coin flip. The Bell, I mean, really, I haven't
Yeah.
seen. I mean, the easiest one is the last one.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so on this one, I'm going with Brad Keselowski just strictly due to Pocono history.
I think you're cheating off my paper.
Yeah, I think there are too. Come to your paper.
I have these circled. Throw a coin up in the air for this one. He obviously has the second highest average finish at Pocono.
Or throw a water bottle at me.
Throw a water bottle. I like it because he had half of his water not in his mouth. All right, next up, Denny Hamlin versus Kyle Busch, the two teammates over there at Joe Gibbs Racing. But man, more momentum with Denny as an owner right now.
See,
Currently,
you look
but-
down. I got it
I
covered.
did it.
Oh my gosh.
Who are you going with, KP?
You know what? I'm just going to go with Denny Hamlin for past history. Because he kicked butt up there when he didn't know anything about Cup racing. He kicked butt up there. So I'm going to go with Denny.
I agree. So Denny won his first trip to Pocono when nobody
Yeah.
was supposed to understand the racetrack. We're taking
Yep.
a brand new car there. I'm also taking Denny Hamlin. And for the bettors out there, I'm fading Kyle Busch until he has a contract or he doesn't because it's been anything but straightforward. Road America was messy.
True.
Yesterday, while he recovered, he spun twice and didn't get hit. So,
How did that happen?
I mean, listen, it's awkward to say because if it is, great drivers, I mean, Kyle Busch is a two-time champ.
Yeah.
There's no doubt he could push the pedals down and get it done. But turmoil is turmoil, and right now, they got a week off because Tyler Reddick took the news away. Well, that news is behind us, and Kyle Busch is going right back to the top of the front page. So for that reason, I believe Denny Hamlin is going to win this matchup.
All right, 4.7 average finish at Pocono. 2 wins already there. Didn't have the track figured out. I don't know if anybody really has this next-gen car completely figured out yet, so Denny Hamlin for me, which means Kyle Busch will win the race.
So we have the same lineup. Congratulations.
Oh.
You're going to go 4 for 4 this week.
Can't wait.
Look at me. I circle all of them. I don't just circle
I know.
single.
I can't look at your paper. All right, Pocono, the Turkey Triangle. We are headed there for the NASCAR Cup Series. And Sunday is the race. So who do we have pulling it into victory lane and getting a win at Pocono? KP, we'll start with you. on
Wow. You're going to start with me.
this one. I'm starting with you.
You know what? I'm going to go Kyle Larson.
Oh, okay.
He hadn't shown up lately.
I was wondering that
But he
yesterday,
had a good
actually.
run the first part of the race yesterday. Man,
Good
he
early.
drove up early.
He did.
He was there. So I'm going to go with Kyle Larson. He was, when he was leading, was that last year that he cut a tire? And
Yeah, on the
Bowman
last
won?
corner.
Last
Yeah.
corner. You know what I mean? I mean, he just, and I just think it's that kind of racetrack. Chevys have speed. I think that this is going to be his place.
Don't bring up the last year because all of my friends say he got Rick Allen's. That's the new announcer curse. He was calling him to the victory when the tire went flat.
Oh,
I'm staying in the Hendrick camp. 4 top 2s in a row. Chase Elliott.
Yeah.
And here's why. I don't think he had a great car at times yesterday, but once again, they just did all the right stuff. Put 4 tires on. I know he wasn't good enough to beat Christopher Bell in the end, but I mean, until somebody gets more consistent than Chase Elliott, that's it. I'm taking Chase Elliott as far as I can see because he continues to run in the top 2. You talk about who has it figured out? Those numbers will say that currently Chase Elliott has
true.
this car
That
figured
is
out the
true.
best.
Okay, I'm going Kevin Harvick. And it's just because I want to watch Steve Letarte's world burn.
wow.
I just want to have 17 winners. I really just give me one.
Listen, I hope
Eric
you're right.
Carolla,
I do
Eric
too.
Jones, Austin
Listen.
Dillon, I don't care.
I hope somebody wins. I hope we have 20 winners.
Same.
I
So
mean, that makes it a great sport for us.
I agree.
Doing
Yeah.
TV,
Yeah.
sitting here doing this, but it makes it a great sport for the fan. If you've got 20 guys that can win races.
And the spillover won't even be felt till next February.
Yeah.
Because every year it was like, oh, there's going to be 10, 12 winners. We get off to a good point start. If you have 16, everybody's going to go into Daytona going, well, we have to win. A win is required. Now,
Yeah.
so it's going to change
It changes.
everybody's approach.
Yep.
Chess moves. I'm going to tweet out the chess emoji after the show. All right, Pocono.
Is a checker, if you send out a checker piece, is it the same idea? Because that's what I'd have to send out.
I'm not sure.
Oh,
Just asking.
That's
not
good.
sure.
That's good.
Pocono is coming to you Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern on USA. Steve Letarte in the booth. KP, are you there this weekend?
I'm there this weekend.
Oh,
Yeah.
uh-oh.
Yeah, I drew Pocono.
Good
The
luck.
tricky triangle.
Telling their voices apart, apparently, because we can't keep them straight when they're on the broadcast. So both of the NBC guys will be up there. Make sure and tune in to the NASCAR Cup Series racing at the Tricky Triangle this Sunday. And thanks so much for hanging out with us here in the backseat. We'll see you after Pocono. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to our channel for more clips, highlights, and full-length episodes. Also, check out NASCAR.com to stay up to date with all the latest news.